I play Harry McCoy, who is the driving force of this play. He is a newspaper reporter. He writes for several daily newspapers, and he goes undercover into the KKK and writes an expose about them. But no one will print it.
Bob receives a manuscript from an old war buddy who's infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan as essentially an undercover reporter, but can't really get any traction either with the authorities or the press. So he suggests that Bob incorporate a storyline into the Superman radio show, of which he's the producer, that will have Superman fighting the Ku Klux Klan as an enemy.
Veronica is married to Bob Van Meer, who is the producer of this Superman radio show. You know, her husband is working on all these things behind the scenes, trying to get the show exposing the KKK, and she's kind of taking the hits that they get threat notes at home and stuff like that, and she's pregnant with a baby, so she's starting to be concerned for her family, for what the future is going to bring because her husband is involved in all these things.
Rita Wilson is a 29-year-old African-American woman. She's pretty much on her own. She wants to go back to school to be a nurse and make the world a better place. And just like any other woman, she wants what most women want, a husband, kids, and a nice house. And I get a sense of loneliness from her, that she's lonely and is pretty much on her own, but she still wants to make the world a better place.
Dan is a guy who is very entrenched in the radio era. His career, he's devoted to the radio era, and so he, at the point that the play is taking place, is sort of watching the sunset of this era take place, and the future in a number of ways, both socially and in terms of media, sort of move forward without him.
So Lana is so fun because she is the only girl on a radio show with 3 men that she works with. And she's kind of a girly guy, and I like that because that's kind of how I am.
Ben Abrams, interesting character. He's an actor. He's Jewish and was sort of slighted, when he was originally asked to join the cast of the Superman radio show.
I'm playing Smitty, one of the radio players. I have the great pleasure of doing 7 different voices, inflections, and accents. I'm enjoying it immensely.
I'm Scott Seifert. I play Joe Miller, who is the voice of Superman, the announcer, and Clark Kent. He starts out the most sarcastic, hardest working voice actor in Hollywood, or New York in this case, and he ends up sort of putting all his chips in to do something that he believes in with his Superman show.
It's an exciting new play, and it's based on true events. So when you enter the play and go into that world, and you think, oh, this is a great story. And then you sit back and think, this is based on true events. This actually happened. It makes it a very fascinating experience for both audience and us.
I like working with original plays because you get to invent entirely from whole cloth who your character is. There's no antecedent where you're going, oh, how does so-and-so do it? And everybody liked the way that this was presented. So I enjoy that.
I was at my local Starbucks, and my general conversation with the barista says, what's going on in your day? And I tell him, well, I'm going to do my play today. And he says, well, what's your play? And I tell him, he's immediately drawn to the subject matter. He wants a flyer. He wants my business card. He wants to go. So I'm excited about this play.
I think it's just such an important story for the time we're living in right now, where we need to speak out about people not necessarily always being good on both sides. Sometimes there's a right and a wrong.
I love the idea that, showing people that when you speak out against hate and bigotry and things that are awful, that it can change the world. It can make things a lot better, and I feel like we're going through that a lot today in our world and our political climate.
I think the message in this show is don't just share your voice because you can. Don't spread hate just because you can. Freedom of speech is not equal as freedom from consequence.
The big takeaway on the entire script of The Cape and the Klan is that the things that were happening in 1951 are happening right now, right in front of us. And if we do nothing, nothing happens.
It just takes one person to make a difference. That's all it takes. It takes one brave soul to make a difference. For the better, for the world.